good morning, everyone. Well, afternoon. I've already been told off once by this, but yeah, good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm welcome to QuickBooks Labs panel show. The new panel's concept is designed to keep you in touch with everything to do with QuickBooks, and it's all about the world of other accounting software as well. But also with me is the added extra opportunity for some of the great minds of the industry to talk to our audience about what's going on and what views they have to share. We still aim to go live within the first week of each month. We may have failed that a little bit this time, but we do normally try and go live as best we possibly can at the beginning of each month. And the idea then is that we come to your beautiful ears and we give you all the information you need to do about QuickBooks Online. And boy, do we have some stuff to talk about today. We've got some controversy. We've got some changes that people aren't going to be happy about, some changes that people are going to be happy about. And ultimately, we're going to make sure that you're going to know everything that's happening in the world of QuickBooks. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Patrick, the chartered accountant and owner of an accounting firm called Boffix, QuickBooks Certified Trainer Fancy Logo, and that QuickBooks chap on YouTube. And with me today, we've got Johann. Hello, Johann. How's it going?
Good afternoon, Aaron. I'm very well, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, not. And we have Ash with us as well, who has just come directly from training QuickBooks itself. So how are you doing? You kind of talked out yet?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I've literally just closed one browser and opened up another. So, yes, I'm here. I love a bit of controversy, so I'm eager to learn what you're sharing.
Excellent, good. So with that then, let's make sure we all have everyone in tune in terms of what this is all about. So we try and go live our regular time 4:30 UK time or 10:30 US time. So if you can listen back to this at a later time, then why not think about joining us live? That way you can get involved with the show and ask us everything using the chat box. We got people already there commenting away like Leanne Hill. Hi Leanne, hope you're doing well. And also we've got other people lurking around as well. So if you do have any questions, don't forget to drop it in the chat box and we'll get to them towards the end of the show, or we'll talk about them and we'll drop them in as we go. Furthermore, we're live across the podcasting services around the globe, so feel free to subscribe on podcast service of your choice. Our agenda for today is, well, we've got a big news regarding a bit of a QuickBooks UK meetup. So I'm going to be talking about that in a little bit more detail. We've got a bit of a change to the left-hand navigation, which has caused a bit of controversy within the last couple of weeks. So we'll talk about that one. We've got some new features appearing in the UK product itself, so we're going to talk about that. QuickBooks Connect happened over in the US, so we've got some really good insights into there. Some bits you might not be too happy about, some of you, especially if you've got an app that deals with fixed asset register, but more on that later. And then we've also got some other changes that have come in as well. And goodbye to France at the very end as well. So we'll see what happens to that one. Right then, let's start off on some kind of positive news, and it's the introduction of, or the announcement that came of QuickBooks Connect 2023. We already knew, well, we kind of thinking about it, weren't we? We kind of had this hint that it was going to happen, but it's all been officially announced now. We have a limited time price at the moment, £95 if you get yourself booked in by the 31st January 2023. It is accountants only, unfortunately, this one. So you wouldn't want to be kind of getting involved in this if you are an accountant. And you can see here what to expect on the Tuesday, the 7th of March, between 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. We've got plenty of stuff involved there. And here at QuickBooks Labs, we've got a little bit of extras we want to be bringing in there as well. Hopefully getting some form of podcast-esque type content while we're there, and we'll see how it goes. So who wants to go first? What, everyone excited? Everyone got them tickets booked?
Tickets booked, bags are packed, I'm ready to go.
Bags are packed already. Oh,
I'm more excited because this is like a week before I then fly to Mauritius, so it's like this is the start of my free week of enjoyment.
Nice.
I'm just looking forward to getting a QuickBooks Connect in person, in face to face again. It's such a good day with such a good party at the end that, yeah, I've missed it.
Yeah, it's going to be good, isn't it? It's going to be good. What do you think to the location, though, Ash? You remember last time we were there? It was the last time I had an in-person event, wasn't it? What did you think to it?
I can't remember if that's the one that I did go to, because there was one that I missed.
This one.
There's one that I missed, but I can't remember if I went to that one or not.
You were training, weren't you? You were training in Birmingham.
I may have missed it. I might have missed that one.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure that was the one that you missed, unfortunately. But the location's pretty cool. Is this the place where ZeroCon was last year?
Yeah, it was.
Last year.
Last year.
And it won't be there this year because ZeroCon's not going ahead this year.
Bum, bum, bum. Do we
you
know
not
why?
know?
No, not.
ZeroCon for the UK is cancelled. Or, well,
Ooh.
wasn't scheduled, so it can't be cancelled. But, yeah. So,
Ooh.
I've known for a while from an inside source at Zero, but it's now, someone mentioned it on LinkedIn, so I can now mention it.
Yeah, no, that's what we want to do. Yeah, I did not know that. I mean, that's okay. Well, it was a bit of a disaster for them last time, wasn't it? Just because of the heat and stuff, wasn't it? It was.
They're all still recovering from heat exhaustion. So.
And it was the same location. Although last time we were there, I don't remember any kind of issues or any, because it was the year after the Beast from the East, wasn't it? That was out, so
2019 was 2019 was at Billingsgate for QuickBooks Connect. 2018 was the Printworks, which had no heating until about the last hour of the last day.
Yeah, that was chattering teeth moment, wasn't it? If ever there was one. But no, I just got all good things about Billingsgate. I thought it was a nice little location. And as we kind of said before, there's some really good places to stay as well. So what I have for my team, it's just over the road. There's a nice little Premier Inn on there. So really good value, really easy to get to. So yeah, highly recommended. And yeah, we'll be seeing Tom there and the rest of the QuickBooks team. So we're definitely excited to see what's in store. We've not had any announcements yet of any of the speakers or anything, like any of the big name speakers or anything, but I'm sure when we get that details, we'll be passing it over to you. So yeah, do take advantage of that 31st January.
I wouldn't, anyone that's holding off until the speakers are announced to get their ticket, I wouldn't bother holding off. Like QuickBooks Connect always gets some fantastic speakers. So, what we had in the past, we've had Tim Peake. Did we have Tim Peake? Or was that Zero?
We've got
Alan Sugar, Gary Neville,
Joe Malone.
Joe Malone, she was good.
She was.
Like they get some really absolutely cracking speakers. So
Bruce Dickinson, my favourite.
There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't delay getting your tickets just because the speaker lineup's not announced yet. It's always a worthwhile keynote from them, so definitely worth doing.
I mean, the bit we're most excited about is going to be the new product announcements, isn't it? So, what could be their one more thing? That's what we're excited for. They could finally do an Apple on us at the very end, and announce one more thing. Could be.
You'd hope so. Whether they will or not is a different matter. We didn't get a one more thing in the US. So.
We didn't, no. But, yeah, I mean, we kind of know some of the announcements. Some we're allowed to talk about, some we're not. But there's still room out there for some more announcements to come through. So, and I've got, towards the end of this stream, I've got some announcements that's happened in the US. And I've got fingers crossed for some of them coming along as well. All right, let's go from kind of positive news of wonderful QuickBooks Connect and getting everyone excited to a bit of controversy that happened during the last couple of weeks. How many accountants out there like change? We did a poll there, but what is it? 1 out of 10 of us, by the sounds of it. Yeah, because QuickBooks went and made something, in my opinion, better. But unfortunately, that came with a lot of controversy. So I don't know who has seen this come up yet, but your favorite left-hand navigation has now changed. I will go into a live one later, but this is just a screenshot of what it looks like now. So what's overall thoughts? I mean, we've seen this new left-hand navigation. We quite like the client's left-hand navigation. And now they've changed our accountant's left-hand navigation. So what's everyone's thoughts on it so far? Just aesthetically, what do you think? Do you like the look of it? Not like the look of it?
Personally, I feel left out because I've not got it yet. Controversial that I've not got it, but never mind. But yeah, look, I like it. I must admit, I turn most things onto dark mode on my phone and stuff like that. It's easier on your eyes, especially when we spend how many hours a day in front of a computer screen? And when we're not in front of a computer, we're in front of an iPad or a phone or the TV. So I do find having darker menus helps me and the strain on my eyes. So thank you, QuickBooks, for taking that into consideration. But yeah, I've seen it across some of the clients. I've not had one client ring up and complain or email asking where something is. They've all gone and done the whole self-discovery thing. But I have seen a lot of, without being stereotypical, grumpy old accountants and bookkeepers whinging about change. So yeah, look, I think it's better. I think you can customize it. I think, yeah, it gets rid of the bits you don't need. Like if you're, if I'm just looking at my one, I don't use the work tab in your practice. So the fact that I can hide that, I don't use projects. So the fact that I can hide that, it just tidies it up.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm very in favor of the look and the level of customizing we can do. And I still love those bookmarks for those to take you straight into those reports that you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they're fantastic.
Ash, what's your opinion on the new change?
I'm fairly impartial, really. I mean, I don't. It's quite nice. I don't use, because I'm not an accountant. I'm probably in practice, in probably as much as you guys now. So it's, it doesn't affect me too much. It affected me in my training yesterday because yesterday it was there. Today it wasn't there. So when it sort of threw me a little bit, thinking, is that the client view or is that the accountant view? So that was the only thing, because it was like that yesterday, and then today it was the old way.
Yeah, I think it's still rolling out, isn't it? It's obviously in phases. Mr. Andrew Rainwhite is on the comments. He is asking if this is only on new licenses. My understanding is it's rolling out to every license. And knowing how much Andy loves a change in client engager, he's not going to like this. I'll just put it out there now. But yeah, my understanding is this will impact everyone over the next few weeks or months. I don't know what the timescale is for it now.
I don't think they've announced it because I think it's still kind of let's see what people's reactions are until we get a full-blown rollout on it. I personally don't understand what the problem is, because personally I feel like we're getting the best of both worlds. We've got the old way of looking at it in terms of the layout, in terms of familiarity, so we know where reports are, we know where the dashboard is, for example, because that is the one disadvantage of the brand new view that we've got. The new client view is, if you're familiar with QuickBooks, it is very difficult and jarring to kind of go from one view to another. I get why people are upset about that, but on this one, if anything, we just get more functionality for the same kind of layout, really. And I get that people are find it a little bit more different in terms of the way that, and I was ironically, I've just been trying to find a client who I could show exactly the functionality. But effectively, when you click now or you hover over this area here, the idea is then that this screen goes to the left, and then you get the ideas and the options there. And then you can click on them and you can go to where you need to go. Whereas before, you would hover over it here and it'll pop up on the right-hand side and you'd find what you want to go to. So there is a slight kind of functionality change in that bit. But ultimately, we're getting the best of what that new left-hand navigation gave us. We now can, like you've already said there, you only get to edit this view. You can take things out of here you don't want it. If you're never going to use payroll, well, just use a little button and take payroll out completely. Like, why have a functionality there that you're never ever going to use? You might as well make the most of getting rid of it. And then that bookmark section, like we've always said, is brilliant. It gives you that opportunity to create kind of almost like a workflow for you and your clients to go through. And even now we've kind of gone through and looked at this for certain clients and gone, well, you're never going to use QuickBooks to the full extent, but what I need from you is you to go in and update these bits for me to continue doing what I need to do for you. Well, go to your bookmarks. They're the section I need you to go down, use it to build a checklist. Really easy, really simple. So it gives us more functionality, and ultimately, I don't know what the big upset of it is. The only one slight bit that I can kind of see where people are upset is once you kind of go into, say, banking, for example, we used to be able to go to the top here and then be able to click between our little areas. So you want to go to your rules or to your tags or to your receipts or whatever it's going to be. Well, you can't do that now. It's all kind of gone on that left-hand navigation, hasn't it? You have to go back there. But apart from that, I don't really know what people are so upset for. A lot of the negativities around the fact that, well, why are we wasting time updating left-hand navigation when it wasn't broken and we could have fixed stuff that was broken? But I'm not sure how much that argued thing. I mean, you're both developers now. Like, that's not quite how development works, is it? Let's be honest.
No, I mean, they're always, look, let's face it, QuickBooks has got a bloody big team all over the world. They're going to have numerous projects and they're just going to have different finishing times and rollout times. And just because they've done this left-hand navigation bar change doesn't mean they're not working on other stuff as well. So, yeah, you know, they're always talking to both small businesses and accountants. And in that research, there must have been enough of an indication to justify the investment in changing the left-hand menu. They perhaps just haven't asked the minority that are also 9 out of 10 times the most vocal people when it comes to change.
Right. What do you think, Ash? Do you think it's for the better? And, you know, do you think there was the kind of, they're going to have missed out on other opportunities by doing it this way? Or
No, but like Johann said, I mean, you know, we've got hundreds of developers, probably more than that are working in different clumps. So I wouldn't, you know, because I know what some accountants will be jumping up and down saying, why have they done this when they could have actually been doing something else that they want?
Yeah.
Makes absolutely no odds, because there'll be a team of developers that are just purely, you know, concentrating on tax-related issues. There'll be a team that are, you know, like concentrating on stuff like this, which is how fluffy and colourful does something look. Pretty different look. And so, yeah, it's like all things, you know. Like when I first used it, because I think one of my client files, it's got the new. And I thought I wasn't overly keen with the way that the things expanded, but I wouldn't cry about it. It still works. It still does what I want it to do. So,
yeah, and it's not like this has come out of the blue. How long have we been talking about this for now, in various podcasts at various points? You know, people are saying, "Oh, we weren't warned." It's like, to be fair, if QuickBooks flooded the world of social media with videos that this is coming soon, you still probably wouldn't have feel like you've been warned, because you probably wouldn't have seen those videos or sat and pressed play on those videos to see it. So, yeah, what can you do?
Yeah. And I personally think as well, the fact that they're changing this must mean, and we don't know one way or another on this one, but it must mean there must be something down the line that this update is for to enable whatever it is down the line. You know, new feature, whatever it's going to be, new UI or whatever it's going to be. There's got to be, this is part and parcel of a bigger picture, hasn't it? And I think that's what we kind of forget all.
It'll be laying the foundations for something, because whenever we do anything in Client Engager, we've made a few adjustments recently to the menu layouts and drop-down boxes, because we know what's coming in the future and we know what we need to plan for now, and we just build it into what we're doing while we're doing it. So there'll be a bigger thing at the end of the tunnel for this.
Yeah. And we cannot wait for it. All right, that's the left-hand navigation. We'll keep an eye on it, and when I've actually got a file that I can actually show you, I will show you. The only ones I've got are live files, and it's probably not fair to give away client data. There's only so much you can hide when you put those sort of screens on.
There's only so many times the Information Commissioner's Office can say, "Oi."
Okay, let's go to the other announcement last month, which was QuickBooks Connect in the US of A. So obviously we're all excited about QuickBooks UK. It's going to be a great event. We're going to get some great announcements. I can guarantee that. But what happened over in the US? Well, they brought out some really cool little innovations. And I think we'll just talk about a couple of them now. So first one was this whole idea of a brand new improved transaction for management. And it's basically going to go down the rules section within QuickBooks and make it even more useful to us. So the idea here, and there's a whole video that you guys can watch, and I'll make sure the link's there. Well, the whole idea here is that they want to make sure the matching side of things works even better than it does before. And crucially, they mention auto matching as well. And when they say auto matching, what they're trying to push towards is the idea that if you've got a supplier and it's sat there waiting to be matched, there'll be an option where you can have it to automatically match. I do hope it's only an option. I hope there's a tick box to say yes, auto match, or don't auto match, because in some circumstances we know we still want that control and we want to do it. But most of the time, just having the ability for QuickBooks to be able to see a vendor or a customer, see that the payment's been received and automatically apply that, that's got to be a good thing, right? I don't see anyone saying that that's a bad thing.
Yeah, if there's efficiency and automation there to be had, and we're happy that that comes with accuracy, then yeah, it's got to be a good thing.
Yeah, I absolutely love the idea. What about you, Ash? Do you think this will bring some much needed extra to the rules and matchmaking?
Yeah, I suppose this is a difficult one without actually seeing it operating. It's like all things that sometimes they sound really good until you actually have them working. So I'd like to see it in place first, like demonstrated.
Yeah. I think if I just go, did they show a little bit of it, or am I thinking something else? No, they didn't show a little bit of this one. So we've not seen how this one works yet. One thing we have seen, and we'll see it later, is one of the other announcements, and this was revenue recognition. Now, this is only for QuickBooks Advance, but I've seen a bit of is it this screen that brings it up? Okay, that's a terrible view of it, but yeah, revenue recognition was announced during the thing. I've got a little bit to show you later exactly how that looks. But QuickBooks Advanced trying to push down a whole bit of a different way of looking at it, a little bit of a, another bit to add to that QuickBooks Advanced element to it. Revenue recognition is something we've been shouting for a long time, isn't it? I know, Ash, you played around with it a little bit, didn't you, with NetTracker? You've kind of been able to introduce it in one of your updates lately.
Yeah, so we've got revenue recognition really. We've got another release to do soon where the transaction will be just exactly per the date, because at the moment if you just can split it over a desired number of months, which is no good if you just want 16 days of one month and 15 days in another month. So that that's coming. Well, it's done. It's just not released. Yeah, because we've just got a couple of little tweaks to do.
Awesome. And do you reckon it's something that's kind of a lot of people are after? Is it something is that why you developed in the first place?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like a lot of things that probably at the moment, so many accountants like yourselves would probably look at revenue annually at the end of the year and make the appropriate adjustments of what's probably just been invoiced in the last month, or what was invoiced at the beginning of the year that was on an annual basis, and creating loads of reports and then working out what the adjustments should be. So some people are quite happy just to make those adjustments once a year. In 10 years' time, if let's say Make a Tax Digital eventually ever happened for a corporation tax company,
controversial.
I was like, if it ever happens, because they might just think, oh, sorry, it's not worth the aggro. But if it was, then you think, well, actually, I need to make sure those adjustments happen every month so that things are in line. If you're depending on the size of the business, I mean, I guess, Intuit are looking at advanced for those larger businesses. And really, regardless of whether you've got Making Tax Digital, if you've got a substantial business, they generally need to run a report every month or every quarter. especially if you've got a bank loan or a sizable, bank overdraft in place. The bank want that report to say, are you going to basically meet your obligations? What's your income actually going to look like when you're going to expect to receive that cash in? So if that's the case, then you should be, recognizing your income within the correct months and reporting for it correctly, not just having a year 12 adjustment, but a month 12 adjustment. But
yeah.
So that's why we've got it in place really for those larger businesses.
Yeah, and that's where it really does make a difference, doesn't it? And Johann, what do you think then? Another feature for us to try and push QuickBooks Advanced? I suppose it's not a bad thing, is it? Is this what you expected to kind of focus on?
It's interesting, isn't it, with QuickBooks Advanced, because the people that are QuickBooks are leaning on, the accountants and bookkeepers that QuickBooks are leaning on to push QuickBooks Advanced, perhaps haven't for the last 5 or so years been working with those size businesses that need these kind of features. So it is a whole new market. Like for us, we're only just starting to venture into these 2, 3, 4, 5 to 10 million pound businesses, because we've never really felt we had the right tool to deal with anything over a 2 million turnover business. So we've now got that tool, and that tool is now being added to, and we are coming across things like businesses that need things that we've not had to really do. Like members of my team are going, oh, I've not done that since college or university or whenever I did my qualification, like accruals. And, I used to do monthly accruals and adjustments and stuff and revenue recognition back in the old job, which was a 50 million pound a year turnover business. And we had to do accurate monthly management reports reflecting the true performance. So, it's a bit rusty for me. But if we're getting tools built into Advanced that powers that, then fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see that they're using Ash and NetTracker as a thought leader and trendsetter.
Yeah, more on that in a moment, I think. What I think is interesting is the fact that although it's not something that we've been shouting as a problem, when you look at kind of what other people are saying back to desktop and back to QuickBooks, it is one of those bits that was missing, wasn't it? So you can kind of see that's good, isn't it? We're starting to really close the gap between what desktop can do and what it can't do. Speaking of which, one of the other announcements was a much better stock analysis as well. So it's really difficult to see, I know, on the screen, but you can see here they've kind of got a much bit better look at what's happening in the stock, and it's connecting automatically to sales channels as well. So this could be an absolute game changer for some of them. I think, again, it's advanced only from what I could tell, but this feature will be lovely to play around with. And it seems to be taking a lot of the goodness from TradeGecko, or what is now QuickBooks Commerce, that solution there, and bringing that in. So, yeah, they're having a lot more integrations with sales channels like Shopify, eBay, Amazon, all those sort of things, which we definitely want to see. And then having a much better stock management solution here. We've been kind of asking for that for a long time, haven't we? It's definitely something that I personally think is going to be a much bigger chance for you to bring in those people to QuickBooks Advanced if this is a QuickBooks Advanced feature, because I know a lot of people who do struggle with their stock management side of things, and this could be a great solution for it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think a lot of people look at QuickBooks Advanced and go, oh, it's for £2 million plus businesses, whatever you want to put it as a criteria. But I think a lot of people forget that actually it's not just your turnover. The reason we say that turnover is because that by that point you've got so many complexities, you need advanced tools. And actually, any e-commerce business that has even maybe £250,000 turnover a year, but has such, if that £250,000 is made up of £5 transactions, by that point you need advanced stock tracking and control.
Exactly.
So, Advanced has got so many opportunities to speed up and make life a lot more efficient in high volume transactional companies with stock coming in and out. So anything like this is a bonus.
Definitely. And Ash, I know you put a lot of kind of workarounds everything into your last book, didn't you, in terms of update, like ways to get the most out of stock and everything else. But actually having the stock better in the first place is only going to be better for everyone, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean the stock in QuickBooks, yeah, it's been needed to be updated for since I started using it basically.
Pretty much.
It's,
Other
'cause
updates.
it's not as good. It's not as robust and with the amount of features that you had in desktop.
Yes, exactly. Which has always been a reason why people have struggled to make the move, haven't they? Make the jump. It's that stock.
Yeah, I think mainly in the US, I would say.
Yeah. The other big update was the sales sync in real time. We've already kind of talked about this a lot, but it is nice to actually see what it looks like and everything else. Again, not the greatest video that they put here, but you can see here you've got all that's open to ship, to back order, closed. It's giving you a lot more detail than I was expecting. I thought it would just be completed items, but it is looking more of a sales system and a sales management system than it is just your typical let's just press a button and make sure that any income that's related to that sales channel comes in. It looks like it's about a management of it as well. So that, yeah, absolutely love the idea of this. And then you can connect your Shopify, your Amazon, eBay, and all those sort of things, and they're just going to flow nicely into QuickBooks. Again, third-party apps are out there, but having it built directly in, I think it's just going to be absolutely lovely to see. One of the other innovations, we'll talk about apps as well, is this new holistic view of connected data and apps. And this is something I've definitely been kind of crying out for a long time. The more clients that we're pushing to all these different apps and the more of that ecosystem we want to get connected, we need to have confidence these apps are still working, that they're not got any problems, not any issues. And just having this sort of dashboard here, I know it's America only now, but we need to get this into the UK ASAP, in my opinion. The idea that we can see if there's any issues, when it was last updated, if what apps are actually connected and how they're doing. And I'm hoping here a little settings button so you can actually make some adjustments to that app on the fly. Yeah, this is going to be really, really nice to see. What do you guys think of this this view that's coming in?
I think going back to that sales process,
yeah,
QuickBooks is obviously identified online selling, order processing that's where e-commerce is where the future is for a large amount of its customers, and that then leads into the requirement of apps to talk to things. So to have all of that planned and easily managed is a huge benefit for everyone, I think. So yeah, no, it's good to see. You're starting to see the direction they're going in, put it that way.
Nice one. What about you, Ash? What do you think to the app view?
Yeah, that's quite nice.
Like, yeah, for your app, it'll be useful, wouldn't it? You would have thought.
Yeah. Yeah, that's quite a nice feature. It looks a lot neater and cleaner from what you've had before. Because that was in the client view, wasn't it? Because accountants have had something similar for a while, but not quite as good.
Well, we just get a list, don't we? All we get is a list of what apps are there. And the idea of this one is that you can kind of see if there's any issues or errors. So for like fixed asset, for a net tracker, for example, it could come up with an error saying it's tried to, post depreciation or whatever, and it's failed or whatever it's going to be. It gives that confidence, doesn't it? Because at the moment, the only way for you to know if those systems have worked is you have to go to either the app itself, or you've got to go finding the journal entry you're expecting to see, or whatever it's going to be. So just having that one view where you can go, actually, all my apps are working, no problems whatsoever. Great. Oh, there's a problem with this particular app, and I've got to go sort it. I think that's going to be quite useful.
Yeah.
And hopefully as well for you guys, it gives more people a chance to see apps as well. Because if they're kind of going to that screen and seeing those apps and going, oh yeah, this is working for me, I'm saving a lot of time. Hopefully then it goes, actually, what other apps can I use? Maybe there's an opportunity there to kind of show other apps that people are using and kind of have that sort of thing and give that opportunity there. Because I think the more it's one of those, isn't it, of all apps out there, once people know about it more, then they can see what the benefits are. Nice. Cool. There was an update for Business Network and the fact that that's going to be coming out sooner. So I'm looking forward to getting some more information on exactly how that works. We spoke about it in previous, in the last pod actually, and it was all about the fact that the idea that if you've got 2 clients or 2 customers or 2 users of QuickBooks, shall I say, then there's the idea of connecting them together. So if you send information between one and the other, they should appear on both sides. If you update one address, you should be able to update the other. So that whole business network idea is good. And I saw an update actually that they've even added more and more people to the network. It's still US only, which is a shame. But, you know, when it does come to UK, it's definitely something be worthwhile having a look at. Then there was a new training portal shown as well. So I've definitely got my view and got me excited on that one. And then finally there was, there's also a HR solution as well coming in the US. So maybe that's a sign of things to come. Although I think ours is very much dependent on what KeyPay wants to do, isn't it? So I suppose we're kind of just, you know, we're going to wait and see what happens on that one. But then they announced fixed asset register. So we have no views, no looks, no anything else. But what do you think to that one, Ash? What's your initial reactions to it? It was going to come at some point, sort of idea?
Yeah, I think I have heard someone. So it's not actually in product yet, then.
Not yet, no. And was it advanced only, or did I make that one up? I think there was. It might only be one of the higher tiers that it was coming to.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I won't be lying. I mean, I would be, you know, I can't say the word without swearing. So I wouldn't be very happy, but it is what it is, I guess. And that's one of the reasons why we started to build other features in. So we're not just the fixed assets, so we've got the other tools and other tools to come as well. So, yeah, it'd be interesting if it is advanced only. That might work in our favour because there's still a lot of companies that don't want to pay for an advanced license.
Same with that revenue recognition as well, isn't it? It's like you'll find people not willing to jump up to advanced, but actually having the ability to do some deferred income or whatever they're going to use it for could be quite useful.
Yeah.
I suppose we don't know enough about it to say.
I did see a post on one of the Facebook groups. I think someone had said about fixed assets, and then someone else had put a link to our page there, and someone had said was something mentioned at QBC, and someone else said yes, but it was also mentioned about 5 years ago. So, like a lot of things, don't always sort of think, okay, they've said that, because like we've had, here, haven't we, with the QuickBooks banking that we thought was coming, and all of a sudden it was scrapped. So we'll see. It could be that they might have decided to work with another, because there's like 2 or 3 fixed asset type partners on the App Store, and they might have decided to go and work with one of those and to bring it in behind the scenes.
My gut feeling is if they've spent this long or they've waited this long for it, surely they've been building it in house, aren't they?
Probably, yeah.
But otherwise, it's
But you sort of think, well, you've got a team of 2 people that built ours within 6 months, rough thing, a fully working app, and then another couple of years making tweaks and adjustments to it. So if 2 people, so that's 1 developer and 1 ideas person and tester, can do that amount, and Johann knows the sort of stuff as well, if that 1 person, a couple of people can do that in that short amount of time, why does it take a $1 billion company with hundreds of developers reached, and getting possible advice from thousands of users? Why is it not even in the product? I mean, really, in theory, it should have been in there from day one.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think, Johann? Are you skeptical about it, or how do you feel?
No, I mean, look, I think there's always going to be a place for NetTracker, because all right, we're QuickBooks pretty much only. So if they had a fixed asset register that worked across all QuickBooks licenses, regardless of level, and it had all the functionality we needed from it, then fine. We probably would look at it. But the majority of accounting and bookkeeping firms operate across multiple software platforms, aka Xero, Sage, and QuickBooks. So do you want to teach your staff 3 different fixed asset register platforms? Or do you want to teach them one in the form of NetTracker, knowing that it does the job on all of them? I know which one's more efficient for as running a business to train my team on. And, will QuickBooks do what Apple does, for example? So they're going to put this feature into QuickBooks Advanced for now, and over the years, it will trickle down into QuickBooks Pro and stuff like that. So Apple put all their new stuff in their Apple Pro phones, and then it filters down over the years into the normal iPads and the normal iPhones. Until it has 100% of the functionality that Ash has got in NetTracker, and it's in every QuickBooks license, and every single client is on QuickBooks, I don't see it running away with Ash's market, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I think there's going to be always space for, because like QuickBooks, if we take the receipt capture, in theory, at the very highest level, QuickBooks has receipt capture. So why do you need DEX and auto entry? Well, actually, we all know the receipt capture is there. It's okay for a one-man band. From an accounting firm point of view, it's completely inefficient and a nightmare to use. So actually, yes, you want a more advanced tool in the form of DEX or auto entry to make that time saving. So I think QuickBooks is always very good at any of their features as being like what I call gateway features. Like they get you into the idea of it, but if you then want a more performance orientated, more efficient, more powerful tool to actually deliver the job properly, that's when you go and look at their app partners in the form of NetTracker.
Yeah,
that's my philosophy behind it.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's one of the things that I was always sort of half expecting it to. So I might have to open up our Xero connection back up. Well, I am thinking about that anyway.
But the Xero is already a good example, though, isn't it? Because Xero already has, they have since day one.
Yeah.
Yet you still get customers on Xero, don't you? So and people were connecting to Xero. So yeah, I think that's a good analogy to what Johann was saying there about the gateway to it, isn't it?
Yeah.
The number of Xero accounts I look at, especially for due diligence, I was just doing due diligence on a courier company this week. They've got Xero. It's fantastic. It's going to be so much easier. Go in thinking, they've got 20 vans. Right? The Xero asset register is going to be fantastic here. They've not put any of it on the asset register. And it's just like, well, you can put the tool there. It doesn't mean anyone's going to bloody use it.
Yeah, very true.
So, yeah, it's been much needed. I think it should have been there from day one. And a lot of accountants and bookkeepers are going to be saying, well, why has it taken so long? But I doubt it's going to have the automation, the efficiency, the ability to recognize that things have been added via the balance sheet and highlight those to be added onto the asset register and stuff in the same way NetTracker does. So, yeah, we won't be dropping our NetTracker subscription anyway.
Thanks, Johann. We'll see what happens in next year.
Brilliant. All right. Okay. So I finally found just circling around a little bit what the revenue recognition looks like. So here's a little screenshot for you. It does what itself on the tin, doesn't it? We've got recognition date, liability account, amount recognized, and income account. So, and we're splitting it over for you. Looks all right. Looks fine, doesn't it? Looks like it's in fact it's built in there and has that kind of on-screen presence. Does give you kind of the opportunity to do it. And by looks of it as well, you're going to add the product and service and then view revenue recognition just there. So yeah, seems all right. Seems like not a bad little implementation for it, I don't think. All right. We have some other.
I'm just wondering, what's the name of that large accounting software company?
Salesforce.
No, that's gone out of my head. So obviously not Sage, Zero, QuickBooks. There's a here come out. They were talking when it was at Scaling New Heights.
Yeah.
Someone was talking about revenue recognition. It looks similar to what this other accounting software does. Is basically there's a link in there. Should this be, is this invoice? Is it going to be? Should it be deferred? You literally tick a box and say yes, this is deferred over how many months, and then it makes the adjustments for you. I'll have to, let me just do it. Yeah, carry on. It'll come back to me in a minute.
Well, we got some other updates as well. We got the well, they're saying here this is going to be an update to the banking screen and the ability for payees to be assigned much more efficiently. So in their example here, they're saying that only 1 out of all of these transactions were actually already assigned a payee. So that's going to be good, isn't it? I mean, payees become so crucial at the moment in terms of some of the new features. So we've got the assigning category feature. We've got things like when you look at your VAT error checker and it tells you then issues it can find, stuff like that for the AI and everything else. So the more we can kind of help with the payee side of things and the more we can kind of get that consistency, the better really. And it's just using that machine learning, it's using the item there to bring it on. It does scare me that they're showing this screen here. So for those who don't know, this is the newish screen that I keep seeing popping up on the bank area, where they get rid of the for review, reviewed and excluded area, and it becomes more of a list. I personally really don't like this. I know we talked about how
change, Aaron.
Accountants should like change, but no, this one just doesn't do it for me. But yeah, if that's the future, that's the future.
Yeah, I know you mean. We'll have to. It's one of those ones where at first glance it looks horrible, doesn't it? So
it's not only jarring to use, but also it just invites errors because you can easily miss one of these that you haven't reviewed, and there's that you have to do an actual filter to bring it in, and there's kind of little options there. So, but that's one for another moan for another day, I think. But yeah, but the fact that they're improving this functionality, bringing that in, it's all good, isn't it? And yeah, and if this is the future of accountancy, of QuickBooks, then yeah, we'll see if we like it or not. Any thoughts on it?
I'll hold judgment until I've been able to play with it. I mean, at the moment, it irritates me that I have to click drop down. I click on the transaction, it dropped down, and
okay.
If it speeds up my data entry process and makes it more efficient, then it's a win for me.
That's your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to think, I've never used Zero, but is this kind of being a little bit similar to the way a Zero transaction is?
Yeah, very, very similar. Very similar. And similar to QuickBooks Self-Employed as well. It's kind of that sort of task, isn't it?
I mean,
so I mean, it could possibly, once you get used to it and you've worked out some of the little bits, it might be quicker. But you sort of look at it at first glance, you think, it doesn't look it. But
my fear, though, and it's the same fear we have with QuickBooks Self-Employed, is it's how obvious you make this view till you've confirmed and you completed that transaction. We had a client who came to us absolutely fuming because they thought they're from QuickBooks, and they were having this big thing about it, and all that happened is their bank had disconnected, but they didn't realize that they didn't just have to add the bank, but they had to then confirm and move them from the for review tab to the review tab. So when the bank disconnected and all their data went, in their view, they'd lost all their data and it was all over, and and everything else. And that's when it's very obvious that you're in the for review tab. You've got to move them to the review tab. So if you have something like this, my fear is that people are just going to see that and go, oh yeah, well, my data's in there. Look, T-Mobile's T-Mobile, done. But they haven't really realized that they still need to actually process the transaction and say what it is. So that's what my fear would be of it.
I think from a performance metric, I wonder if this will be better, because for me to assign a PAYE or a category at the moment, I have to click on the transaction in the bank. I have to wait for it to drop down. So I'm in Scotland. I'm in Edinburgh right now. I've got fantastic Wi-Fi here. But an hour north, you're lucky if you're dealing with 10 megabits a second.
Yeah.
So to have every animation that you see go through QuickBooks requires data speed. So to drop down the window, then to click and drop down a drop list, it all adds up. So if that's one less drop down or animation that's going on in my screen, which means my processing of the bank data is quicker, then yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, you're up for it. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
The only thing I like, or hopefully there'll be a filter or something, is that when you're dealing with transactions like we do at the moment, when you've completed them, they're gone.
Yeah.
The screen is blank. You know that.
You get that satisfaction, don't you? Yeah.
You see, all of my bank transactions have been dealt with. I've got a blank for review.
Yeah.
So having that screen that's constantly there, I don't know.
I mean, there is filter options, so you could just filter for non or confirm items, or however they want to, or unreviewed items, however they want to phrase it going forward. But yeah, the other thing that I absolutely hate about this one is that you lose at the top here the bank balance and the bank to QuickBooks bank to the bank balance in the bank and bank balance to QuickBooks. That goes completely, because the idea then is you wouldn't need that if you've got kind of a one view sort of idea. But yeah, we shall see. Okay, there was one other update I wanted to bring in before we leave today. Oh, it's this one here, and I know, Johann, you've got some views on this one. This is America, and in America we have your normal invoicing, and you can go through and see what it looks like and edit it as you want. On the right hand side, we have payment options with a little tick box of credit card, bank, PayPal, and room down here for some more. So, what do you guys think to this little breakdown here and how it looks? And yeah, I don't think there's anyone can say it's a bad thing, does it? And even says here, not just PayPal, but I can't quite read what that one is, but there's another payment platform there as well. So open it up to other platforms in theory.
Right, yeah, I think that's great. Depending on how much the charges are.
Well, that's where certain providers out there like Cresco can be very competitive indeed.
I think not necessarily from an accountant's point of view, because we're fairly used to that whole line by line entering the information, not knowing what that looks like on the invoice, just let the invoice populate and send. That's fine. Yeah. From a business user's point of view, the fact that you are technically entering the data on the format of your invoice here, I really like that. I think this is a really nice looking user interface and user experience.
Yeah.
And I like the fact they've taken all the option things and put them to one side rather than dotting them around the screen and you're missing things. And if this payment option thing can be opened up in their API so that Cresco, iWalker Pay, whoever it is you want to use, can link into that. So iWalker Pay rang me very excitedly today. We've just launched our QuickBooks connection. You can connect us to QuickBooks. Cool. Okay, let's have a look. Let's do this while you're on the phone to me. So, okay, I've connected it. I'm looking. Bring up the FAQs that iWalker Pay have. Yeah, you're still just copying a bit of text and a link into the email or onto the info box on the invoice, which is exactly the same problem that Cresco have got. It looks spammy. It looks fraudulent. It doesn't look professional compared to a Pay Now button. Xero allows you to use the Pay Now button and to plug in whichever payment provider you want into the Pay Now button. QuickBooks needs to sort it out. I'll stop there.
Right. And we have got speculation that maybe there's some sort of PayPal exclusivity or something. We don't know. There could be anything. That could be, contractually, there could be a reason why this has happened. But it's been a long time. It's been PayPal. So,
It doesn't seem to matter who we ask, how higher up in the ranks we ask it in QuickBooks. The answer is, let me look into that, and you'll never get a response or a reply.
No.
Whether that's because America doesn't tell the UK people that, or I don't know. But it is becoming the biggest bugbear for me at the moment, because my clients can't be competitive by you taking PayPal payments compared to people like Stripe, iWalker, Cresco. They all do extremely cheap, if not free, bank payments.
Mm-hmm.
My clients can't compete with. If I had a client using exactly the same type of business, same transaction volumes, etc., and their competitor next door was doing exactly the same thing but through Xero, my client can't be as competitive or profitable because QuickBooks won't allow them.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what it boils down to.
Yeah. And we do get the added functionality of making it super simple. The pay now button means it definitely it's always going to go through there. You pay by Apple Pay. You can do all of that functionality in QuickBooks. Don't need to worry about that because that's all been dealt with by PayPal.
Mm-hmm.
But not opening it up means that we just lose out on so much added functionality, and it's a shame, isn't it? Because like I said, we can see how simple it is, and even Sage are given the option to do that as well, even though they've got their own Sage Pay functionality now. I'm pretty sure they've got the functionality as well.
Do we need to take placards to QuickBooks Connect and stand outside on strike until they give it to us?
Payment options over here. We'll just take a photo of this. We want this now.
We want Cresco.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Perhaps we ought to try and sell our Stripe integration, because we built our own internal Stripe integration between our admin tools and QuickBooks. So any invoice that's created in the background, it creates the invoice in QuickBooks between our admin tools, and then if automatically payments are collected. But then if someone pays later, or they just put their card details in and I've just not automatically taken it, I can just click pay now, and it will take that payment from the card, and it will update all of the entries, and that's going through Stripe.
Awesome. It's a great workaround, isn't it? I suppose it's not as simple as create an invoice and press send, is it? That's what the people are missing out on, isn't it? So
that pay now button should be powered by whatever pay facility
have a tip here. You pick what you want it to be.
Yeah.
Some people will still do PayPal because it's convenient and it's a known brand that people can quote unquote trust. That it's that, isn't it? It's that mentality. And also, just before we move on as well, we've got email view, PDF view, and payor view. I'm not quite sure. I suppose that's an American term, isn't it? But whatever that view is, that'd be a nice to have there. But like you said, just seeing it like in this format doesn't work quite well, I think. And and especially with those payment options on the right hand side, absolutely loving it. All right, how long we got? Oh, we're just over. There's one more big update I wanted just to quickly bring in, and it's something we will make sure we look at in a little bit more detail. But the Find Match functionality has had an update, and what they're saying is now Find Match works much better than ever before with multi-currency. So we're not tried this yet, but it was always a bit of a bugbear of ours, wasn't it, Ash, when we kind of teaching it and everything else. You had to, for multi-currency to work properly, you really did have to follow it and go through and put it through. And there was kind of a step use case you had to follow, or a workflow you had to follow, should I say, for you to get the most out of multi-currency. They're saying now that the Find Match in foreign currency is going to be much more powerful than it ever done before. So that's definitely something we want to be checking out, seeing if it works. But yeah, that's a nice little update that can we could bring into QuickBooks, I think. And
that's good, because it would only ever bring through one entry at a time, wouldn't it? You couldn't do a multiple match.
Yeah, ticking multiple ones or anything like that. did we even lose the resolve difference? I can't remember.
We didn't have resolve difference in foreign currency.
Yeah. So yeah, and the fact you had to go between the two at the top, it looks like possibly the foreign currency and non-currency. It looks like it's just all being there now, which is what we want. It'll just it's one of those things where multi-currency is brilliant in QuickBooks, but it is, if you don't follow the right way of doing it, then it can be useful. It can be problematic. And then finally, just another quick little update: batch edit your client auto bank rules. So now you have the option to, if you want to revise your auto add preference on the list of client bank rules, you can now do it all at once in banking, select multiple rules and turn off auto add for all of them. So instead of having to go through individually, you can then turn them all on and off as needed. So yeah, nice little updates to that one. Final bit then, just we'll finish off on goodbye QuickBooks France. It was so QuickBooks has said bye to France. Me and Johann were talking beforehand. We did a bit of research, can't find any major reasons why, or if there's any kind of elements to it. The assumptions are the fact that it's never had that traction in France, has it? It's up against the solutions out there and everything else. Personally, from my point of view, it's not the worst thing in the world. It does mean that when it comes to rest of the world, which is UK is part of, that rest of the world part is now that little bit smaller for us, isn't it? So hopefully that means we get more updates more often, and everything else that goes with it. So any thoughts on France?
I don't know. I think it's very, very very niche in a way. Some of the France accounting. I remember years ago I used to work for a firm of accountants, and I had to actually file a French VAT return every month or every quarter.
Oh, really?
And I had to log in through this remote desktop to this French version of Sage 200 or something, and then because it was all in French, and then I had to remember looking at the balance sheet, and I had to sort of look at work out what all these things meant. So yeah, I have some experience in French VAT. Not that I can remember much, but yeah, I can imagine it was basically a real ball ache for Intuit for very little reward. So I can understand that. I was quite surprised because that's because there was not only sort of a few months ago, it was India that went.
Was exactly, yeah.
QuickBooks, and I thought, I was quite surprised at that. But then again, India again have probably got some very, very niche tax rules that they've already got things in place for. From Intuit being to the developer at the end of the day, has to think, well, how much time can I invest that's really going to affect that small amount of our customer base? Yeah. Whereas probably all of the rest of the countries are all sort of pretty similar, have a very similar sort of way things work. So I imagine that's why.
Yeah. I mean, we were going to launch a QuickBooks Labs French edition, but we'll just put that on ice for now. And
c'est la vie.
Exactly.
All those hours on Duolingo wasted.
Let's get ready. So far, I can say Le Fenêtre, which is all about a window. So at least I'll find a use for it one day. And with that, I think that's the end of this year's, or the first episode of this year's QuickBooks Labs. So a big thank you to both of you two for coming along. We do have a really big guest hopefully lined up in the next one, so tease more on that later. Thanks for all the questions that came in and all the comments that we've had throughout the show. Really appreciate it, everyone. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook so you can join us live on any future episodes or join one of our YouTube channels. Ash, Johann, have you got anything you want to kind of promote, push? Ash, do you want to go first? Any kind of new updates on NetTrack or anything?
No, nothing too much at the moment. I just said the daily calculation stuff should be released soon, and then as soon as that's done, there'll be some videos out. But as well as the updated, help and support pages, because they're I'm just reviewing those last night, so that they'll go probably live in the next release as well.
Nice one. Any music videos planned? Any more guitar solos?
No, no more music videos for a while. Maybe later. Maybe at Easter. I think.
Well, maybe a QuickBooks Connect special. Let's see if we get you on the on the board.
Perhaps I need to go busking also because QuickBooks have got their own asset register, so I've got to make my own some more money. So I'll just sit there with the guitar case open, with like a please help.
Johann, anything you want to push?
No, just the weekly Ask the Accountant episode every Monday morning. And then my first accounting-based speaking gig has just been announced today. I'll be speaking at Digital Accountancy Show in June. All things acquisitions and growing your accounting firm via acquisition, the pros and cons. So looking forward to that. But yeah, no, looking forward to continuing each week's Ask the Accountants podcast.
The venue looks good for that as well, doesn't it? We're at the Battersea Power Station, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Looks electric.
Hey, well done. Well done. He's here all day, people. In fact, actually, I missed that one. One sec. Just say that one again.
It looks electric.
Oh, that was the wrong one anyway, especially. I even had my soundboard ready today and I never even used it, so never mind. All right, everybody. Well, it's been great to be back. 2023, we've got some big plans for this podcast, so keep an eye on it. And again, if you have a chance, why not join us live? My name's been Pat. It's been absolutely great to see you all, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.
Goodbye.
As an accountant, I've got something to say. I'd like to introduce you to a whole new way to help small business clients. It's easy as 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. QuickBooks Online. Accounting you can customize. Just sit back and relax. It works with over 300 apps. It can sync up with PayPal or Shopify. And with Fathom you can analyze. With Fundbox you'll get paid instantly, while Stitch Labs tracks your inventory. QuickBooks Online. QuickBooks Online. Can save money and time.